Hampton Roads, it's that time. You're tuned in to the Hour of Power with Maxwell Ministries of New Beach Grove Baptist Church. Dr. Willard Maxwell Jr., Maxwell Realty. He's not in today, but he does have his executive pastor, John Waldon, is in the building, and we have some special guests that we're going to get to in a little bit. But what's going on, Pastor Waldon? How are you?
Man, it's an amazing day, and it's a wonderful time to be back in the studio. And I got to work on my studio voice because you're just so smooth with it.
Yes, sir. So listen, I know you all just came out of an anniversary. Tell the listeners how was that?
Oh, man, we just celebrated 11 amazing years of Dr. Maxwell being our senior pastor at New Beach Grove Baptist Church, man, and it was awesome. Saturday, we had a cookout.
Okay.
And invited the community, man, from 12 to 5, and it was people everywhere. And I really got to say thank you to our listeners for those who showed out and who came and to support. It was just so great to be a blessing to the community and to build relationships and to evangelize that day. And then on Sunday, man, we had worship experience with Dr. E. Dewey Smith.
Wow.
And he came and wrecked the place,
yes,
dude.
Sir.
So it was an amazing celebration to celebrate an amazing leader.
Okay, yes, sir.
At the end of the day, a man or woman is worth their honor when they are doing what God has called them to do.
That's right.
And so this church and this community, man, just came really out to support him and all of the great things that he's doing and touching in our community. So it was a great time, dude. Real great time.
Yes, sir. So listen, I heard you mention something about a cookout. Yeah. You ain't walk in with no hot dog, no hamburger, man. It's lunchtime. I'm hungry.
Listen,
look, where the food at, bro?
Listen, we're going to have to go down the street, you know. It was just so many people and that was a beautiful thing, right?
Yes.
To be in a space and be in a place where we're able to serve everybody that showed up.
Wow.
Right? And so we've had over about 350 people come on that Saturday, man, just to kind of be a part of the festivities.
Yes, sir.
From 12 to 5. So no more burnt hot dogs, man, but the next time, I promise, man, I'll bring one to you.
Yes, sir. And I also want to salute our very own Doc Christian. I believe he was out there hosting. Yeah. So Doc Christian, we salute you. Thanks for holding it down here from Praise Family. Also, Dr. Maxwell, he has a book out. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Definitely, man. So Dr. Maxwell is very keen on leadership. And as he's keen on leadership growth is his new book. And they can go to his website to get that, which is www.willardmaxwell.com.
Okay.
And they can grab that book from there. And it's amazing because I believe there's a leader in all of us.
Yeah.
And as there's a leader in all of us, we need some proper tools to navigate in the marketplace as well as ministry.
That's right.
And so this book spends time breaking out what it is and what's needed to grow as a leader, but then also to flourish. I think sometimes a lot of us can reach a plateau and get to a certain area, but God never calls us to plateau. He tells us to grow.
That's right.
And so he begins to outline all of that in the book that he has. Man.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate you for sharing that valuable information. Like I said, you all have came off of a powerful, packful weekend, and you guys are doing some great things out there, not only behind the four walls, but in the community as well.
Appreciate
yes, sir. So this is the Hour of Power with Dr. Willard Maxwell Jr. of New Beach Grove Baptist Church, Maxwell Ministries, Maxwell Realty, and we also have some special guests in the building, but I do want to open up the phone lines. You can call in for prayer if you want, Pastor to touch and agree with you. He's here to pray with you at 757-454-1650. Again, that number is 757-454-1650. And speaking of special guests, we have two women here in the studio today from United Way, Charvela West. She's in the building today, and Harley Maddox.
Yeah, man, we're blessed to have you guys in with us, and thank you so much for consenting to be a part of this show today. So can you elaborate, first of all, introduce yourselves, but then also elaborate, what is United Way and what do they do?
I'll let you go first, Charlie.
So, hello. Thank you for having us today. It's a pleasure to be with you both. My name, of course, is Harley Maddox, and I do outreach and engagement for United Way. So it's about sharing the message of what United Way stands for, the community we would like to impact, and how we do that through our services and our community assistance network.
And I'm Charvela West. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Director of Community Impact for United Way of the Virginia Peninsula. And our role is as a backbone agency for the community, as a convener, really bringing all of us together to create pathways out of poverty. That's the greatest need our community has been facing, and that's what we're working to tackle.
You know, it's amazing that you say that because even with the mission that you guys, it fights for health and education and financial stability for every person in our community. And with inflation going on, prices are now shifting and changing. I'm sure that there's some amazing programs and literacies that you guys are putting in place or already have in place to kind of help combat that. Can you kind of share a little bit towards that?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned the cost of living crisis we're all living in right now. One of the things that makes United Way so important to our community is how we define poverty. And I think your point about how it's been impacting so many of us, right? When we talk about poverty, we talk about not just the standard definitions, like you'll hear organizations talk about federal poverty level and that kind of thing. We really look at the experience of our neighbors, so many of us who are working, sometimes working multiple jobs, jobs that require college education or some kind of training, and still are only making it paycheck to paycheck or barely making it month to month. We have a unique acronym that we use to talk about this population, the working poor. We call it ALICE. ALICE is an acronym that stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. Working, limited assets, don't have a lot of savings to fall back on. Home ownership is a key part of that. But many of these households make too much to qualify for most government-funded programs. And so now that with inflation and the impacts of the pandemic, that population has grown and expanded, but are so vulnerable because they don't fit into the boxes and the criteria that so many programs focus on. And so our goal at United Way is to bring the community around, one, understanding that experience, right? And how closely related it is to every single one of us. Every one of us either is Alice or knows Alice. We don't get away from that, right? And then second, making sure that the community knows that we need to work together to serve and support this important population that we also rely on. Alice is working at the shipyard. Alice is working to care for our seniors in our retail stores. Alice helped us survive the pandemic, right? And so our work at United Way is to ensure that Alice and all those experiencing poverty have a way to connect to the wonderful programs and services that our partners have available to them.
I like that. You know, one of the interesting things, and so I can caveat, because it sounds like there's a major passion towards this, right? That I hear from both of you, right? Even though she threw you under the bus first, you know, there's a major passion. I want to discuss that. But for our generation, one of the biggest things coming out of college, we were wrestling with this debt to income ratio. And now that we have all of these student loans, and now that we are trying to find the right job for what we went to school for, and a lot of us are not even working in our fields, as we're trying to get this home ownership, as you discussed, or entrepreneurship off the ground, we're running into these snags or these no's because of the debt that we have. And so when we tackle that and add that to inflation, gas prices that are rising, you know, things that we desire to have now astronomically going high, you have a lot of people that are just really stranded and losing hope. So it's amazing to hear about how United Way is providing this particular hope. But where did this passion stem from the both of you guys, and also this kind of history for United Way?
So I won't throw Harley under the bus. I'll just start this time. For me personally, it's my personal story of grace. I grew up in a family of all women. There were children, so that just single women raising families on their own, doing their best, working really hard. And if not for other people stepping up to say, I will help you, you know, at a time when I had no one else, then I can't imagine where my life would be. That's been my own story of grace. That's how it's shown up in my life. And so I started my nonprofit career with that in mind. My previous career for 10 years, I did sales and marketing. And what made me really good at my job was working with people from all different backgrounds to train and develop them to be successful in the work that we were doing. And I had this moment in my life where I realized it had to be for something more than just making money, right? And so then I started, I actually got certified as a life coach and started working in the nonprofit community, first with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. And in that work, as important as it was and fulfilling as it was and seeing the difference, there was always, no matter how many times I could help get a family housed or help get a family connected to this service, there was always something missing. We had to rely on another service or another program. And so coming to United Way for me was the embodiment of bringing all of that together, not just relying on one person, not just relying on one organization, but really saying this is all of us. We're all connected in this, whether for this one family or for, whatever that looks like. None of us functions in isolation. So my passion comes from my personal experience and my experience helping others navigate from poverty to whatever is next for them.
So as far as my background, very similar to what Charvela shared as well. But just as you mentioned, coming out of college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And my first job actually was with Salvation Army. And I thought I knew what poverty was. I thought I knew what it meant to struggle because we struggled, even in my household and my background as well. But I had no idea what that actually looked like, that it looked like you and me, that it looked like all different walks of life for all different reasons. And as I learned how to navigate and as I learned what it meant to work in the community, I realized that so many people were needing the assistance but didn't know where that came from, were discouraged because of different struggles that they've gone through and not really knowing one way or the other how to get from day to day and just trying to make it in an emergency state. And so from there, I've just worked with nonprofit going on 10 years now. And I had always worked with United Way. And always what I saw from United Way was people that, again, were passionate like I was, wanted to help, but seemed sometimes to be very siloed. Even when I worked with United Way previously, when I worked for Salvation Army, we worked hand in hand together, but it seemed like an uphill battle trying to get the community to rally around. So just recently I've started working for United Way. I've been with them for about 3 months now, and it's something I'm very passionate about because the Community Assistance Network and the fact that we're bringing the community together and the community wants to help, wants to come together, wants to be able to share their resources. So this is something that I'm so excited about because I've struggled for so long trying to braid resources together, trying to make sure that the community is helping one another because no one person can do it, and we can't do it siloed either. We have to have that communication to share those resources. So having been on the other end, having been homeless before, having then served those that were homeless and helping them get lodging and housing as well, I understand what that navigation looks like and how you can come to barriers that may prevent you from getting the help you need. So my passion comes from working with that demographic, working with those that look like you and me, working with those that can understand that I know what you're going through. I may not be able to completely relate with your circumstances, but I want to spread this message that there is help available and you don't have to kind of sit in silence and struggle through. There's ways to help you get out of the cycle of poverty.
Katie Geneva Canaan says that you must do the work that your soul must have, right? And that idiom, those words is just literally, I'm not just working a work, like you said, just to get a check, but this is actually a fulfillment of the calling that God has placed on our lives and that we believe that God has called us to do, which is to help people.
And your heart has to be in it.
Right. And so I asked that particular question because oftentimes we do have a community that shies away from resources because we think, I'm going to be judged, or I'm concerned and worried about how it's going to get out. But to know that I have somebody that I'm connecting with that has a similar testimony, has a shared experience, I'm more apt to coming and to being a part simply because I'm connecting with somebody that says, hey, listen, I've been there, or I've had family that's been there. And so it's amazing to hear. And like I said, you can hear the passion about the work that you guys do. And so it's amazing. And I thank you so much for, sharing that and going into that. So I want to kind of caveat just a little bit. So United Way is actually worldwide, correct?
There is a United Way worldwide, but every local United Way functions autonomously.
Okay.
So we are locally based.
Okay. Of the Virginia Peninsula.
Correct.
Okay. And I wanted to make sure I shared that because as we've had listeners all across, I want them to know, because I want to talk about programs and I want to talk about how community partners can get a part and how do we connect. But I want to make sure I caveat that and start with that because I don't want anybody to take from this conversation and think they can go to the Southeast End or wherever and be like, hey, I heard the show. I'm trying to be a part, right? So I want to make sure that we do that. But, okay, cool. So Virginia Peninsula, just one quick thing. What is so specific about the branch Virginia Peninsula?
So our geographic territory covers from New Kent County up 64 to Hampton, so that's New Kent, James City County, York County, the city of Williamsburg, and Poquoson. Newport News and Hampton.
Awesome.
And then also Gloucester and Matthews. So that's our geographic territory. So for folks on the other side of the water, the south side, there is a United Way. Great partners, United Way of Southampton Roads, doing really great things to serve Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk, and those parts of our community. So we are very specific to just the Peninsula community.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's good, and I'm grateful to hear that, so that our listeners will know that, listen, especially once we get into these programs and get into these ways of being able to assist, they'll know who to tap into and where to actually go.
Yeah,
okay?
That's really important. We always say we are an interjurisdictional community. Folks live in one city or county, work in another city or county. We have less folks traveling back and forth across the water on a daily basis, but it's happening, right? And so it's really important that not only do we delineate who we serve, but all of us know somebody in one place or another. And so even today, please share this with somebody you know who might be on the Virginia Peninsula, even if you're not.
So before we shift real quick, and I know we've got some listeners that's on lunch break, things of that nature, they may not be able to catch the rest of it, but what's a way that they can connect real quick and we'll give them that information?
Absolutely. We are on Facebook, United Way of the Virginia Peninsula. So we'll share this broadcast on our Facebook page. And then one of the cool things about our United Way is whether you're trying to connect to serve the community or to receive services, we provide one phone number for anyone on the peninsula to call, and that's 757-229-2222. We'll talk more about our Community Assistance Network, so for those in need, that's the phone number to call. If you're looking to volunteer, to give, to find out about the needs in our community, that one phone number, 757-229-2222.
All righty. Listen, we thank you for that information, what you guys are doing in the community. We could tell that you're very passionate about it and, helping the community with the resources. Again, you're tuned in to the Hour of Power with New Beach Grove Baptist Church, Willard Maxwell Ministries and Maxwell Realty. Standing in for him is his executive pastor. Executive Pastor John Waldon is in the building. Again, our phone lines are open. We do have to take a quick commercial break, but keep it plugged here to Praise. And when we come back, our phone lines are open at 757-454-1650. Again, that number is 757-454-1650.
Pastor Maxwell, we have an awesome thing going on right now. We had the FBI in here training the future recruits. We have young people in here who already know they want to be FBI agents. Anyway, it's so good to have you here. It's such an honor to be able to host you all, the future FBI agents. Clap for yourself. Wow, that's awesome. Wow. Only thing about it is you can't have a real college experience like I did. You got to be good the whole time. They watching you. Yeah. They didn't call me at all to be a part of FBI. I'm probably a preacher to make sure that God says that maybe I can go to heaven because I was too wild in college. But anyway, we're gonna leave that alone, that past life. But you all put yourselves in harm's way to keep us safe. And I appreciate those who are already officers, those who are already serving us, and for you all to say right now, I wanna make sure I serve my neighborhood, I wanna make sure I serve my community, I wanna make sure I serve my nation and really the world, because whenever you make it safe here, you're making it safe everywhere. And that's just such a great honor to have you all here. Continue to do what you're doing. And now I can say I'm partnered with the FBI. Nobody gonna bother my church. Thank you so much. I wish I was that focused at 16 and 17. I changed my major like 3 or 4 times in college. But at the end of the day, I love Newport News Police. They brought the FBI up here to train our future FBI agents. And my goodness, they're gonna keep our community safe. They're gonna keep our state safe. They're gonna keep our nation safe. And eventually, they'll be the ones keeping our world safe. So thank you, Newport News Police. We appreciate you for trusting New Beach Grove to always partner with you for these monumentous events. Hey, how you doing, everybody? This is Dr. Maxwell. I'm running for Newport News City Council for the North District, and this is something we do all the time. We over here at the Huff Center, making sure that we take care of those who have special needs and those who may be disenfranchised. This is a great organization. They take care of our special need population. Every second Wednesday, we come in here and we feed those individuals, make sure they feel some love. And we got the Big Pockets over here who helps me with my campaign, and we're gonna be able to send them to the movies on today. So they're gonna have a great time at the movies, to have to feel sociable and have a normal life like everybody else. Can you let us know exactly the other things we be doing here, Brother B?
Okay, we have been doing this for quite a while, and we get support from Pastor Maxwell, and this is just one of the many places that we support with through the efforts of missionaries from the council and also from the TPPA. And we're just honored to be part of Pastor Maxwell and his organization, Church, New Beach Grove. He's very supportive of all the things that we do, and we just want to thank him. Amen?
I appreciate
it.
Yay. Yay. What's up, baby? Thank you, sorry about that. Hey, how you doing? This is Pastor Maxwell of New Beach Grove Baptist Church and also the Newport News NAACP president. I just wanted to make sure we came out here and gave you an update on what's going on over here at the Seaview Lofts over here. I'm over here with Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. They're one of the residents, and over here with Bishop Tremaine Johnson. He's the president of the Coalition of Concerned Clergy, and we just was kind of trying to give an update to the community on what's going on, because we know so many people are concerned. So many people have reached out to me, have reached out to Reverend Tremaine, and we just want to hear it straight from Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. What exactly is going on? What has the city done to help you out?
They furnished us with a hotel room with the vouchers, and understanding that they also have food vouchers for everyone. And there is a listing that I have for residential housing and everything.
Okay, so they've given. And how long was the voucher supposed to last? The hotel voucher?
July 6th.
All right, now they said July 6th. They gave a date because they said they had to give a date. I talked to the Mayor Price, and I also talked to Assistant City Manager Alan Archer, and they assured me that you all probably will have it longer than the 6th and continue to extend it out to try to walk you all through the situation. But just in case some of the resources that they're saying don't come through, I've always partnered with one of the great leaders in the city, Reverend Tremaine Johnson. Can you let us know what your group is doing, the group that I'm a part of with you?
Sure, Pastor Maxwell. A Coalition of Concerned Clergy, a group of pastors on the Peninsula have joined together in an overwhelmingly way to come together with you and other organizations so that we can give. Churches are given $1,500, and even several churches took up offerings today, to the point that I think we're going to be a major help through our churches. We did hear on the news several people saying not just pray, but they need some action. And so this is our attempt to do action and to make sure we be of service.
Yes, and so our church would definitely give to the Coalition of Concerned Clergy as well. So New Beach Grove, we're going to give $1,000. And also, I'm calling on brokers as well. I need some brokers to step up. So this couple here, because they may not be able to go back in the building, hopefully the people are able to go back. We're going to, hopefully it'll work out by Tuesday, Friday. I know they have a court date, but what Maxwell Realty is doing, we're giving them one of our homes where they're renting from us. We're going to rent it to them, but $500 below market value rent, because the rent that they pay here is kind of lower than the market value of rent. That's why it's hard to find places for some of these individuals if it doesn't go through. If they aren't able to come back up here, we're going to call on some brokers, some investors to kind of come together and help us pool up to be able to find some housing for these individuals, because a lot of them are on fixed income and a lot of them are elderly and don't have the ability to go back to work. So we want to make sure we take care of our community. We definitely want to make sure we do that. So Tremaine and I, Reverend Johnson and I will make sure that we keep in touch with the city to find out exactly what's going on day by day. But we want to give you an update to let you know the churches are working, the organizations are working, and the people are doing, I guess, okay. We don't say you're doing great,
Yes.
but they're in a hotel right now. So we thank the city for doing that, but we're going to be here to make sure we give them even more resources to walk them through the situations. Any brokers, any investors that can step up, please give me a call. Any churches or organization can step up. Whatever you give, all these monies will go towards helping these individuals who are in this unfortunate situation.
And we are back. You're tuned in to the Hour of Power with New Beach Grove Baptist Church, Dr. Willard Maxwell Jr., Willard Maxwell Ministries, and Maxwell Realty. The first 30 minutes where they were power packed. We have his executive pastor in the building, Pastor John Waldon. He was just sharing with us earlier, if you guys had missed it, that Dr. Maxwell has just celebrated 11 years in ministry, and they also had Pastor E. Dewey Smith, which was followed by a cookout on Saturday. I'm so hurt that, he walked in here without no burnt hot dog. Like, I'm still thinking about the hot dog, the onions, and all of it, Pastor Walden.
Man, we got to get your cash out so
Yes.
we can go to cookout, dude.
And we also have from United Way, Charvela West and Harley Maddox in the building. They're very passionate about what they do in the community and just the resources that they're supplying. So, Pastor Walden, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you all and let you guys take over.
Yeah, so listen, Praise family, we've been having a great conversation about the importance and also the impact that the United Way of the Virginia Peninsula does and gives to our area and beyond, right? That long list, I don't know all of it on top of my head, but from Matthews County all the way down back to Hampton and around, we've been talking about that. But Ms. Charvela, you said something that I kind of struck a chord. You stated that with some of the federal programs that are out, everybody's not able to qualify for those programs. Now, I know that you guys have some specific programs. Can we kind of talk about the specific programs? We may have a listener that's listening today and that says, well, I may need to give it a call. I'm going to check the website out. I'm going to call them out. But what are some of the programs and how do they impact the lives of some of the participants that come into United Way?
Thank you. So the work of United Way and how we make our impact primarily is through our partner agencies. There are nearly 40 nonprofit organizations that we fund. We give them what we call unrestricted funding, that money that they can use as they see fit to do the best work that they possibly can. And in exchange, they're committed to working together with United Way, with our other partners, to creating pathways out of poverty. But directly at United Way, we provide what we call an advocacy and referral service through which serves as the backbone of what we've created, the Community Assistance Network. Okay. So we reference CAN a lot, Community Assistance Network. And so by calling that one phone number that I gave earlier, 757-229-2222, anyone on the Virginia Peninsula can call and express what their need is. They will be answered by a person, a trained advocate, somebody who's not only going to listen to what their needs are, but we do various screenings and applications to identify the household's current resources, the need, how they got to this point, and from our application, we can determine what services and programs of our over 200 partners they're eligible for. And so instead of a family who's in crisis having to call this place and that place and hearing we don't have funding right now, or you're not eligible, or you make too much money, or you don't make enough money, or whatever, that advocate is doing the labor on behalf of that family. That's our advocacy service. So because of our relationships with all of those organizations, from individual churches who say we have $200 a month in our benevolence fund that we want to use to help people, to large organizations like the Salvation Armies and the food banks, smaller nonprofits like Thrive Peninsula, for example, Catholic Charities, and even our local governments and departments of social services and the myriad programs that they offer. Their eligibility is different from one program to the next, from one household to the next. It's really hard to navigate that. And so our advocates do that work on behalf of the household. So it really is just one phone call, and we can connect them to all of the programs and services of the entire network, which is about 200 partners. And so that's the work we do. You know, we follow what we call a success equation at United Way. We convene. So we've been bringing these partners together since we launched in July of 2021. We advocate, and that's the work we do on behalf of the families, and we mobilize the resources. So when someone calls with a financial need, we ensure that the community that comes together is going to meet that full need. We're not going to, pay $100 and you're still going to end up with your lights off or whatever that looks like. We really look at the whole financial need, but also we plant the seeds for ongoing support, right? And so you got behind because you were sick and you missed hours at work. Well, can we connect you to some workforce development training for a job that maybe has paid leave or whatever that looks like? And that's where our corporate partners come into play as well. Not only are we in a cost of living crisis as a country, but there's also an employment crisis that we talk a little bit less about because of the way they count the numbers. But the reality is there are so many positions available that require some type of certification or training. And if you're already financially struggling, how do you manage to include a training program in that, right? And so that's where the community comes in. So I like to say we fit into the gaps where the government doesn't fit. That's what the nonprofit community is there for.
Wow. I'm going to say this. You spoke a lot about partnerships, so Ms. Harley, I'm coming to you in a second, right? But to your point, it's two things that really kind of struck out to me. These human service professionals that you guys have that are walking with these, I want to call them families. I don't want to call them clients, right? Because oftentimes we deem negative connotations when we call them clients,
We
right?
call them customers.
Customers.
We are there to serve them.
So our customers, right? I love the fact that, to your point, you're not just connecting them with the service. All right, thank you, goodbye. We're marking it off that United Way has done another deed. No, but you're spending time walking them through every single need that they may have beyond just employment, but to your point, maybe it's the kids. They may need something there. Maybe it's tutoring service or whatever the case may be. It may be health. They may not be able to get their prescriptions, stuff like that. So I love the idea that it's not just a singular help, but it is to the whole individual and to the whole person, which I think is needed, right? Because again, our customers are oftentimes going to agencies, and they shall remain nameless, but I'm gonna throw some shade right now, that just wants the numbers, because then they'll get the grant funding or whatever, but they don't get the service and the care that they really need in that particular area. So I love the fact that you guys are walking with them. Now, she mentioned a lot about partners and the community partners that we have, and I didn't forget my second point. We're gonna come back to that employment. But as we may have some listeners here that says, hey, I'm a part of a nonprofit organization, or I'm part of this community engagement and I desire to get a part and to be a part. What are some ways that some community partners can jump on and to be a part of the service that we're providing our community?
So I would definitely say, again, the number that we've been sharing out, which hopefully by the time this airs and once everyone listens, will have this imprinted on their brains to remember, is the 757-229-2222. So when you call that number, again, I'm outreach and engagement, so you can connect with me, but almost any other person in the office to say, whatever that need is. So whether that's, again, receiving assistance or someone that would like to donate, that's our point of contact. So if you ask for me, again, I'm that connecting point to get them to wherever they're going as far as outreach is concerned.
Awesome. So let me say this now. While Ms. Charvella has shared with us that we speak to all types of needs, is there any spaces for community partners that may be a little bit lower that we may need to increase on, or so this particular area we may need some more partners here, or we may need something over here? Is there anything specific that we have there?
Certainly, for sure. And I would definitely say for location-wise, we're always looking to build up in all of our service areas.
Awesome.
I know Hampton is a huge one that we're trying to do a lot more outreach in, and I'm doing outreach across all of the peninsula. But again, the more we build up our referral network, which again, Ms. Charvella shared about having almost 200 referring partners, we're continuing to build on that, because the more partners we have, the more we're able to spread out to the community and spread those resources out. So I know Hampton is one of those local areas, but as far as assistance is concerned, again, always a financial assistance need, but we do more outside that as well. So whether that's counseling, whether that's workforce development, we're always looking for continual partners that will help us continue to build this network so that we can make sure our customers who call are able to connect to all of those services.
Yeah.
And if I can add to that, I think, especially because we're talking to an audience of individuals, right? And so if you're a landlord and you have a place that you need to rent out, please let us know. People are desperately looking for somewhere to live, and there's programs that provide assistance for them to do that, but our housing inventory is so limited. If you're an employer and you're hiring, especially if you also provide training that can transfer outside of your particular business, trades and that kind of thing, please call us. We have folks right now. Our biggest needs that we're hearing are for rent and utilities, and there's a whole long history about how we ended up here, but it's Harley mentioned the city of Hampton. On the peninsula, the city of Hampton has the highest percentage of renters of any other locality. Hampton and Newport News. By the nature of having so many renters, they also have the highest eviction rates. And so if we can do the work on the front end to keep people housed, that looks like stabilizing them when they, have a blip in the road if they get behind. But that also looks like helping them increase their income so that they can continue to afford their housing, then we're better off. So those landlords and employers are phenomenal partners that we just don't have enough of.
Now, I love this because the security that I hear, right, is that as a partner and even as a customer, as I'm coming into this, I'm not just thrusting you anywhere, right? We are doing our due diligence with making sure that this is a valuable customer, that we can, help aid them, as well as this is a valuable community asset that, it is a place. So a listener may be listening, well, I may need somebody to stay. And we're not going to put you where the windows are falling off and, the landlord is a slumlord, right? So I love the security that's coming from this conversation that says, hey, we're doing our due diligence as well to make sure that whom we provide or whom we give over is sustainable and actually who they say they are.
Absolutely. And we rely a lot on our community partners for that. I think it's important that we don't paint the picture that United Way is doing all the things, right? We are the connector for all the things that are already happening. People in our community are so generous. And we have some amazing human services professionals across our government agencies, our nonprofits, and our churches that are doing really good work. But our job at United Way is to make those connections, right? And so whether it's, I need housing tomorrow, oftentimes we're not able to respond that quickly. Our community resources don't have that capacity.
Yeah.
And so whatever it is that we can offer is based on what our community has. That's also another value United Way brings is we get to look at the whole picture and identify our gaps as a community and say, hey, we're doing this really well over here and we may need a little more support in this area.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Now, I want to go back real quick because as we talk about this employment crises that I like to call it, right? Part of it is many of us got stuck on the system during the pandemic or, during this whole pandemic relief. And now that, subsidies are not the same, monies are not the same, we still waiting on the stimulus check and not realizing that we've actually got to go back to certain things. And so I want to kind of just share, because you spoke on that as one of the things, but United Way, not only some of their partners provide training, but you all provide some training as well for some of the jobs. Did I hear that correctly, or how does that work?
Great question. So if I can back up a little bit, when you talk about the pandemic relief, so our local United Way, on behalf of the Peninsula, is the first and only eviction reduction pilot organization.
Wow.
It was an executive order by our previous governor that set money aside for communities to design a program that would reduce evictions.
Yeah.
And so we're in our second year of the pilot, hopefully a third coming up.
Yeah.
And we are what comes after all that pandemic relief, right? So what the numbers have shown us on the Peninsula, in Hampton and Newport News alone, through March of 2022, $100 million had been invested in keeping people housed.
Wow.
That program ended in May.
Okay.
Those resources are no longer available.
Yeah.
At the same time, some statutory rules and regulations that allowed more time for folks to work with their landlords and landlords to make payment plans, all of that's ended. And because of all of this relief and some of the regulations in place, many landlords have reached the end of their rope. Landlords have suffered a lot through this expectation of coming money while they still had bills to pay, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really important for us that we look at the whole picture of that.
Yeah.
And so then when we talk about employment, one of the things that that complicates that a little bit is the wages have increased across the country, particularly in Virginia. Our minimum wage increased, but most places are paying somewhere between $12 and $15 an hour.
Yeah.
There are not very many employers that can recruit anybody and pay less than that. The challenge still remains, $15 an hour is not enough to cover the cost of living on the Peninsula. When we look at the data from our Alice report that we used to talk about poverty, just to cover basic expenses, a family of two needs to make $45,000 a year. So we're not talking about the lowest paid earners in our places of business. For a family of four, when you add childcare costs to that, it's at least $75,000, right? And so we're talking about our first responders. We're talking about our nurses. Like, we're not talking, oftentimes when we say words like poverty and housing insecurity, we paint these pictures in our heads of very vulnerable looking people. But the reality is Alice is me and you and our friends and our church family and our neighbors and so on and so forth. So when we talk about employment with that, right, we've got to get folks to a place where they can earn more than $15 an hour.
Yeah.
That's no longer an acceptable standard to rent, or even that doesn't even come close to home ownership. So
and I challenge us, right? And even on our show when I come, I always challenge it from a millennial perspective. Right? Because at the end of the day, while life around us is shifting, we've got to learn how to shift too, right? So at the end of the day, we do not need to be subscribed to every last thing, Hulu, Netflix, and, whatever other streaming devices, because again, as the world is shifting and moving, to your point, rent has gone up astronomically everywhere. apartment complexes to, private landlords, they have shifted. And so if we are going to be able to survive and to sustain, we have to have a mentality, a raise and development question. Hey, do I need this? Because if I'm going to shift as well, I've got to make sure that I know what's needed and what's not needed. And so that's big, man. That's really big. I think at the end of the day, the work there's a continual work, right? So while there's training involved, while there's a shifting of mindset, while there's a blessing of resources, while there are community partners, it's this whole global connection that's really going to help to impact the families and impact the lives.
Absolutely. As an elder millennial myself, I can appreciate that perspective. But I will tell you, folks are not a Netflix subscription away from paying their bills, right? So I think one of the challenges for our generation is how we get to define our goals from this point forward. What that looks like in terms of deciding about families, deciding about retirement, deciding about where we live, and all of those things we're in a different place now than we were 3 years ago.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Particularly for the millennial generation.
Yeah, we're going to have to pick that back up because that's a good segue right there. And at the end of the day, I think that as we continue to do what we're supposed to do, my hope and my heart is that this particular show will ignite some type of fire into somebody, right? So that not only are they able to take advantage or be a part or be connected, but also ignite a fire to challenging them to think about some of the things that we really must think about, right? You're right. We're not a Netflix or an Apple away from being broke, but at the end of the day, we have to kind of shift. And so I'm grateful that Praise is giving us this opportunity to kind of have this conversation.
You're inside the Hour of Power with Executive Pastor John Waldon of New Beach Grove Baptist Church, standing in today for Dr. Willard Maxwell Jr., along with special guest Charvela West and Harley Maddox of United Way, where they could be reached at 757-229-2222. Again, that number is 757-229-2222. And also our prayer lines are open at 757-454-1650. If you need prayer, Pastor Waldon, he's here to touch and agree with you. If you have any questions about what you're hearing over the air today, you can also give us a call at 757-454-1650. But we do have to take a quick break, so we'll be right back after these messages.
People are doing more, I would say, community work, but community work as ministry. But we have Miss Sabina over here. She's a representative of the Spanish community, and she's going to let you know exactly what we're doing over here. What's going on over here?
Well, we're trying to support the Spanish Latino community with things that they need, personal hygiene, food for the children, something that they can substantially maintain themselves while we're going through this hard time. Okay, a lot of them need help, and Pastor Maxwell is here to help us and assist us in the Spanish community.
Yeah, we always have a good time partnering with her. And we also got our people over here, man, who always make sure that we have like cleaning supplies and detergent. So they're going to make sure that they have cleaning supplies. They even helped us when we were taking care of the homeless over here. They even helped us with the cleaning supplies then to make sure that we wash the blankets every day for the homeless. Because a lot of times when the homeless come in, it might be 40 each day, but it may be a different 40 group of people, so you don't know who had what blanket. So we just want to thank them. So can y'all give them a hand clap? Keep it clean and COVID safe. So they're going to make sure that our Spanish community has cleaning supplies. We making sure that we took up some food, and we thank God that they have an advocate like this young lady right here to make sure she's right there, making sure that she holds people like me accountable to make sure that we get things done for her community.
Yes, and I appreciate it, and they appreciate it. And every time we go to domestic violence communities in the Latino community and these children that need some food and some reinforcement, they also have child care that if you need it, we can help you with, okay, at a minimal cost. Okay, we are trying to help us as much as we can, guys. So please come and assist Maxwell and his team with donations so we can continue to do what we do and enjoy to do for the community.
Yes, thank y'all so much. Thank you, Maxwell team. Y'all so awesome. Y'all make me look like I know something, but y'all do everything. Appreciate it. Hello, my name is Dr. Willard Maxwell, and I'm running for Newport News City Council, where my motto is people over politics. I need your help to put me in office. I continue to work for the people. If you know me, you know I work with the Boys and Girls Club. We have the after-school program right here at our church. I'm a volunteer police chaplain, which means I'm definitely helping with public safety and making sure that we reduce gun violence. We've just received a $60,000 grant for my in-touch basketball tournament from the Department of Justice because that helps us to deter gun violence. So the Department of Justice is even helping me in order to make sure that we make the community safer. Continue to work with the school superintendent, but I need your help. I need your help to get in office, so I need any type of donation you can give. $10, $15, $1,000, $500, $2,000, $5,000. No gift is too big or too small. I need your help in order to be able to do what I need to do to get in office to serve you better. I'm serving you now, but what I'm asking you is to help me extend my platform to become your next city councilman so that we can make a difference for Newport News and the surrounding cities. How you doing? I'm Willard Maxwell, a candidate for Newport News City Council in North. I'm running because I want to continue to build relationships with organizations like the Police Foundation, like the police, like other organizations that help humanize and bring people together. Because I know a lot of times we're so divisive. Republicans don't like the Democrats just because they're Democrats. Democrats don't like the Republicans just because they're Republicans. But we all people, and we need to begin to serve our community. So I love partnering with the Police Foundation. I love partnering with Chief Drew and the police. I love partnering with the school system. So if you just continue to help me, help push me into office, I will continue to do the work that I'm already doing, but I'll be able to do it on a higher and bigger scale to continue to help our community become the best community it can be. I need your help to get in the office. I need your donation. I need your support. I need you to volunteer. The way you can help me is, hey, let me know if we can put a sign in your yard. Let me know if you can help with social media and repost the things that we post. Let me know that you can give to friends of Willard Maxwell. The way you can give is on the screen. You can give through PayPal, ActBlue, or you can mail your checks to 359 Beachmont Drive, Newport News, Virginia 23608. Again, we already partner, but if you help put me in office, we'll be able to partner on a higher level and make sure we make Newport News the greatest city in the United States.
And we are back. You're tuned into the Hour of Power with New Beach Road Baptist Church, Dr. Willard Maxwell Jr., Willard Maxwell Ministries, Willard Maxwell Realty. Standing in for him today is Executive Pastor John Waldon, who's doing an amazing job here in the studio, along with guest Charvela West of United Way and Harley Maddox of United Way. So Pastor Waldon, you can go ahead and take it away for us.
Awesome. Listen, so one of the biggest things that is a major conversation in our community is the CV Loft Apartments. Can we kind of talk about how United Way is kind of helping as much as we can, right, to the CV residents and just what we're seeing here, what's going on?
Yes, so for the CV loss, we know that's a big, huge topic for a lot in the community. So as far as United Way, again, when we're talking about convening agencies, when we're talking about bringing resources together, we're always having those conversations as well. So there were several meetings that went forth to figure out how we could support in that regard. So I know on the United Way's website, which is uwvp.org, there are donations being received in to directly go to the residents. So if they do call in to our Community Assistance Network, which again, that number is 757-229-2222. They can call in and figure out what resources we do have to be able to pair them with those resources as well. So whether that looks like help towards first rent, or deposit, or just any other supportive resources. And we also were present at the resource event that was held a few weeks back, again, to be that braiding resource to share what local organizations are available to be able to kind of direct them as well.
If I could add to that, I think the Seaview Loft apartment situation, and I'm so hopeful these folks will get back into their homes and they will be safe for them when they do so. I'm so hopeful for that. But I think that is such a good example of the vulnerability of that Alice population, right? So when it was deemed that the residents could no longer stay there, the city of Newport News very quickly responded. We are so grateful for their partnership, but their Department of Human Services reached out to United Way immediately. We had just worked with another closure in Newport News, the Patrick Henry Mobile Home Park that closed, and so we partnered with the city of Newport News there, and that again goes to what I said before, where our government partners can't help, that's where the nonprofit community comes in. Most of the families in the Seaview Loft apartments earned incomes too high for all of the programs and services that the city of Newport News could offer. As much as they were on the front lines and very quickly responded, their parameters are pretty strict and clear. And so we were so grateful that they reached out to us. What we do well at United Way is create ways for our community to give, right? And so that's where the emergency fund came from that Harley just mentioned. Because there were folks calling saying, I want to help, but I don't know how. We even had a lady in the Newport News Housing Broker team that could vet that and then make the most appropriate connection of all of the residents at Seaview Loft. It really is all about us working together. And we have the fortunate role of facilitating those connections in our community. It's really such a cool place to be.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. At the end of the day, my heart goes out, and even New Beach Grove and In Touch and Willard Maxwell Ministries and Maxwell Realty, we've been trying as best as we can to kind of help with this particular movement and things that's going on with the CV residents, and just letting them know, again, it goes back to what we kind of kicked the show off with, letting them know that we care and letting them know that we are around. And listen, as we have a lot more we could discuss, and I'm going to ask Pastor if we could just come back and chop it up some more, right? I want to say we are so grateful to be connected to you all and to see the impact and how you are helping us to be the arms and feet of Jesus to people who are definitely in need. And so we're blessed today to kind of be a blessing, and we want to present you all with a check so that the continuum ministry and the continual work, let me put the right word on it. I just got churchy real quick. But the continual work that you all are doing for our communities and around will continue to go. And please, if there's anything that New Beach Grove, In Touch, and Maxwell Ministries and Maxwell Realty can do, we're definitely here and we're available and we're ready to connect. So we really want to say thank you, and we're going to show it as well as say it.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
We really can't say thank you enough.
Yeah.
And the most wonderful thing about this generosity is it's not a one-time thing. New Beach Grove has been so engaged in serving our community in so many different ways, partnering with Boys and Girls Club and Thrive Peninsula and the Food Bank, and all of the wonderful things you do to literally be the hands and feet in our community is just so amazing. And we are so grateful for your support. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate y'all. At the end of the day, as a church that believes in building up a community, building kingdom-minded people to serve the community, that is our vision at the house. And so at the end of the day, we cannot say that we are trying to be like Jesus and we're ignoring the very thing that Jesus would speak to and that Jesus would do. And so we're grateful. We're just grateful to be able to be who we are, right? And so speaking to that, one more thing, man, we're trying to be the arms and feet of Jesus with this community relationship, building public relationships with the community and the police. And so we are working on our In Touch basketball tournament, man. We are so excited excited about what's going to take place and what's going to go on, man. It is going to be held on August the 13th from 10 to 5 p.m. And those who may want to have teams, they can reach out to me, call the church office, 757-877-4114, and they can reach out to me there, and we can get their teams added in and connected in. And so we're going to have Sheriff's Department, Newport News, Police Department, but then we've got a list of community teams as well that's going to be a part of that day. And the main goal is just to build this relationship and continue to touch the lives of people, to let them know that, listen, our world can be a better place.
That's right.
And so if we can shift our mindset and change how our heart feels, man, we can definitely do all of what God has called us to do.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. From United Way, Charvela West, or Harley Maddox, would you guys like to share your information one more time with the listeners, just in case they want to reach out to you and get in contact?
Thank you. Again, our number is 757-229-2222, whether you have a need or you want to be of service in our community. 757-229-2222.
Right. Did you want to have some words, Harley?
Well, thank you all for having us and for allowing us this opportunity to share about United Way and the work that we do. And again, just so I can repeat it one more time, so hopefully everyone will remember this number.
Yeah.
You can reach us at 757-229-2222. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Executive Pastor John Waldon done a phenomenal job today stepping in for Dr. Willard Maxwell of New Beach Grove Baptist Church, Willard Maxwell Ministries. We say thank you. And before we go, do you mind closing out in prayer?
Sure, let's pray.
All right.
God, we thank you and we praise you for this conversation, this day you've created and fashioned by your hand. God, my prayer is simple. God, I pray that you continue to bless United Way so that they can continue to do what you've called them to do in this season and in this time. I thank you for Miss Charvela and Miss Harley. God, I pray that you would bless them and whatever they're standing in need of. But God, every listener that is attached to this show, God, even this particular news show, this radio station, I pray, God, that you will pour out your richest blessings. God, I thank you for not allowing us to throw in the towel, but thank you, God, for showing us that something great is up ahead.
Yes.
We love you, God, and we honor you in Jesus' mighty name.
Jesus'
Amen.
name. Amen. Well, we want to thank you again, Pastor John Waldon. We have Charvela West and Harley Maddox of United Way in the building today, just giving out some valuable information to the listeners. Again, you can reach them at 757-229-2222. Again, that number is 757-229-2222. Listen, also be sure to catch Dr. Maxwell right here next Monday from 1 to 2 p.m. for the Hour of Power. And you can also be sure to check him out on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on the Ultimate Gospel Experience, WTJZ Praise.
Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Dr. Willard Maxwell Jr., the pastor of New Beach Grove Baptist Church, and I just want to thank you all for all of your giving. My goodness, though we're still on the downside of it, we're still in the pandemic, your giving has helped us so very much. Those who are members of New Beach Grove, those who are friends, those who are partners, and those who just watch us online and help us out, thank you so much. We're still keeping the kids after school, partner with the Boys and Girls Club. It only costs $25 for the entire school year for them to be able to come after school and be taken care of up until, I believe, 6 p.m. So we're keeping our kids safe, because most of the time when I had to put someone out of school, if I had to expel them as a principal or assistant principal, it was something that happened after school. It was something that happened when they were unsupervised off campus. And so I'm big on keeping kids safe. I'm big on making sure that we have a safe place for kids to go after school, so that even though their parents can't be there, we can be their guardians and their safety net to make sure they don't get in trouble. Because after school, someone may get pregnant, someone may get shot, someone may get killed, someone may get into a fight, someone may try drugs for the first time, someone may lose their virginity. We want to make sure that we're there to be the village that helps take care of your kid, and your giving helps us do that. Thank you all so much.